We're on the home stretch. We're in day 3, and I think we're doing some very good work. The groups in there have been focusing on school grades and what's our best way in moving forward as we go through this transition, and I think they've come up with some great ideas and we're ready for moving forward.
There has been some criticism that the governor is not here to watch his own summit at work. I mean, could you respond to that? And then furthermore, do you plan to directly talk to the governor about what you've heard, what you've seen, and can you give us an idea of what happens next?
I think there were 3 questions in there. I'll try to hit all 3 of them. I think that the governor asked me to convene this education summit, so I think it's very appropriate that I am here and leading this work, and we certainly will have conversation. He's also had his staff here, and we have been meeting regularly, and we will continue to do so. It will be conveyed to him. We're working very closely with the governor and his staff and plan to continue to do so.
So what happens next beyond this?
What happens next is that, as you asked, we will be having conversation, and then we'll be making a determination on what's our best move next. How do we want to approach these 4 priorities? What do we want to do moving forward, and what's our best way of serving the students in Florida?
You repeatedly stressed in your remarks today and yesterday, of course, that you can't change the law, you can't change the rules. The grading system's not going to be thrown out overnight. Given that, there appeared to be a little bit of frustration with some people who said, well, then what is the point of having this discussion if there are certain things that are just viewed to be off the table?
I don't think I quite perceived it in the same way. I don't think there was frustration over the work of today. I think there may have been a question regarding this particular year and what we might choose to do moving through this current school year. But everybody was in complete agreement that this is a long-term solution. We're looking at long-term fixes to school grades. How do we want to look at school grades differently moving forward? And I think that was the biggest focus of the day, and everyone was completely in understanding that that's where we are spending our time and coming up with those ideas of how do we focus there. Not necessarily whether or not we were going to be able to change law. And it was really just a discussion surrounding that what came out of these days would in fact not take place tomorrow, but that there would be processes in place that would need to take place in order for some of those changes to occur.
So what does come out of this?
We will be taking all of this, synthesizing it together. The Collaborative Labs team has been working very hard to make sure that that happens, and it will be compiled into information that all of the information that has been brought forward will be taken into consideration. And we will look at what is our best approach as we move forward, transitioning into new assessments, and how do we want to look at our school grades and our teacher evaluation as it relates to those things. So we will be looking at what's our best approach to that. The specifics of how we approach that will be coming out later.
I have a specific question to Univision, and that's just, can you talk a little bit about what kind of ideas has been thrown out to reach out to minority students, maybe extra ESOL classes, something like that? Can you just expand on that and talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think that Florida has done a great deal over time to look at the performance of subgroups and to do what we can to move the needle forward on closing the achievement gap. And I think Florida has shown to be a leader again in that area as well as many other areas. And I think there has been some discussion here today about how we look at the performance of our ELL students as well as all of our subgroups. And I think that again, Florida, more than anyone else, focuses on moving forward our subgroups and making sure that we are actually closing the achievement gap.
Right. I mean, obviously there's a much bigger achievement gap within the Hispanic and African American communities. Can you just expand a little bit on what was discussed in particular?
I don't think there was anything discussed in particular with regard to the subgroups, but just that with regard to our high poverty students, The school grading that exists has certainly done its job in moving forward the achievement of all of our students, including those that are in our subgroups that are maybe most vulnerable, and the school grading system has certainly done that. That's been more of a general discussion rather than a specific discussion about any one of the subgroups.
Probably need to wrap this one up because we've got, I want to get Doreen over here for you on Espanol. So anybody else got anything? Any more questions?
A final thought, anything else finally that you want to share?
I'm very hopeful. I said at the beginning that this was unprecedented. I don't think there's another state that has pulled together this kind of a group, such a diverse group with so many diverse opinions, and yet we're going to be able to come out of here feeling very good about Florida and Florida's education system and where we are headed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.